Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for this video. So in this video I'm going to be talking to you guys about my experience with taking Lamictal, or lamotrigine is the generic form. So if you don't know, if you're new to my channel or something like that, I was diagnosed with bipolar type 1 disorder with psychotic features, is the full diagnosis, in like September 2011. Which was a long time ago. It's crazy. That is 2016 now. And when I was in the hospital, and yes, I was hospitalized, that's when I was diagnosed, they put me on Depakote because Depakote is like a fast-acting medication and that's what they need to get you stabilized. So I don't know if anyone else who's been in this situation can relate to that, but they put me on Depakote. But then when I was an outpatient, my psychiatrist told me that Depakote wasn't really good for young women to take because the risk of birth defects is very, very high with Depakote. So it's not really good for women of childbearing age to take Depakote. So she switched me over to Lamictal, which is similar to Depakote, but the risk for birth defects is lower, I think. I mean, it's still in the like precautions that you should talk to your doctor if you plan on getting pregnant. And when I do get pregnant or plan on getting pregnant or something like that, I am going to taper off of it. And then, yeah, I'm still taking it right now. It is a anticonvulsant mood stabilizer, and it's prescribed for bipolar disorder and epilepsy and probably some other things, I don't know. So my doctor put me on Lamictal once I was an outpatient, and I didn't start on a high dose right away because if you do that, you will have an allergic reaction to it. You have to kind of acclimate your body to it. So a lot of people who say they've had a bad experience with Lamictal, that's oftentimes because they started at a very high dose, which I don't know what their doctor was thinking, or if they didn't consult their doctor, or they didn't listen to their doctor, or what, but you can't start on a high dose of Lamictal or you will most likely have a negative reaction to it, which would include things like getting a rash or something like that. Like you would get either a not life-threatening rash or a life-threatening rash, and the life-threatening rash was very scary to me. So when she told me about the life-threatening rash, I was very scared to take it, and I know a lot of people send me messages talking about how they're afraid to take medication, and I totally understand. I've been there. I was there when I first started taking Lamictal because the one side effect that it has, or the main side effect that it has, is that you could get a rash that is deadly. So basically you get a rash, and what I read about it is that it causes your epidermal cells to like split or something. I don't know, but basically your skin falls off or something like that. I don't know. So it's very scary when I put it like that, or like in my mind, you know, I'm kind of a hypochondriac, and I was like, oh my god, my skin's gonna fall off if I take this. So I was very scared, but she told me that it was okay because if we start on a low dose, then I won't have that negative reaction. So I started on a tiny dose. So Lamictal, the company, actually gives doctors sample packets that actually titrate the medication for you, and titration is just the fancy name for like building up your dose slowly. So your doctor should give you a sample packet if she has, or if he or she has one, that will titrate the Lamictal. And it started at like a really low dose. Like, I mean, for this type of medication, it was a really low dose. It was like 0.5 milligrams or something like that, which is really low because at my highest dose I was on 300 milligrams, so from 0.5 to 300. But yeah, if you went on like 100 milligrams or 200 milligrams, or God forbid 300 milligrams from the get-go, your body would probably react really negatively to it. So you're gonna have to like acclimate your body to it, which I don't know all the science behind this. I don't know how it works, but I don't know. But that's just what happens typically. So yeah, I started on a very low dose. It was maybe 5 milligrams, I don't remember, 0.5 or 5 milligrams or something. But for each dose I took it for a week. So I started 5 milligrams for a week, 10 milligrams for a week, and while I was building up my dose, I was maybe still on Depakote, I don't know. Maybe for like the first week I was still on Depakote, I'm not sure. But I was definitely taking my antipsychotic medication, which was Risperidone or Risperdal. I don't take that anymore because I haven't had a manic episode since I've been on my current dose of Lamictal, and you really only have to take an antipsychotic with bipolar disorder if you're still having mood swings, because if you're stable at a certain level of normalcy, then you're not going to have psychosis. So yeah, psychosis is just a result of mania, basically, because you're not sleeping, and I don't know. So yeah, I started off on a very small dose. So it was like I spent a week taking 5 milligrams, a week taking 10 milligrams, a week taking 25 milligrams, and then 50 milligrams, then 100 milligrams, and then 150 milligrams and 200 milligrams. So I was taking 200 milligrams for a few months, and then I was telling her that I had some depression. You know, I was seeing her every single week because at this point in time I was living with my parents and I had nothing to do. You might have seen another video where I talk about how I have no friends, which, full disclosure, I did have one girl who I knew from high school who I was visiting, and, you know, I did have some sort of outlet every once in a while, but, you know, and I had my family and stuff like that, but they live in a really small town. There's only like one traffic light or something like that, and it's so boring, and yeah, I was so bored out of my mind, literally. So I went to see her once a week just so I could have someone to talk to and have something to do, because then I could go into town and stuff like that. Anyways, it was you know, whatever. It is what it is. So, but anyway, so I saw her once a week, which was good because I just got out of the hospital, so it was kind of good that I was seeing a psychiatrist once a week. And she doubled as a therapist. I don't know if she did that for all of her patients, but for me, you know, we had an hour session every single session, or 45 minutes to an hour every single session, where she was also my therapist. So she told me that if I wanted something for depression, that we could just increase my dose of Lamictal, because at a higher dose, Lamictal can act as an antidepressant, which I do think is true. I do think Lamictal has antidepressant properties to a certain extent, especially because it's a mood stabilizer, so it doesn't really allow you to get too low or too high. So yeah, I think it has like some antidepressant properties, probably not as strong as an actual SSRI or something like that, but it does work pretty well. So then I started taking 300 milligrams to have the antidepressant properties, and I think it worked a little bit, for sure. My cat's being crazy. So I took 300 milligrams for quite a while, at least a year, and then my hair started to thin. So up to that point, I had no side effects from Lamictal whatsoever. And I don't know, you know, maybe my hair was thinning because, you know, I wasn't eating enough, or I wasn't getting enough nutrition, or just from old age, and thin hair runs in my family, so it might not be the Lamictal's fault, but it might have been the Lamictal's fault. Like, the Lamictal might have exacerbated my already genetic tendency to have kind of like thin hair as I get older. So I started noticing that my hair was thinning, and I freaked out, and so I told my current doctor about it, or my last doctor about it. I don't remember. Yeah, I think it was my last doctor, and my one before my current one, and he was actually the university psychiatrist at the school I was going to at the time, and he told me that I could lower my dose because Lamictal, I don't remember exactly what he said, but I think he said something like it can block some nutrient, like Lamictal interferes with some nutrient. I don't remember the nutrient that he specified. Maybe it was like selenium, or I don't know, but Lamictal blocks some sort of nutrient that your hair follicle needs. And anyways, it scared the crap out of me, because then he started talking about how like my hair could just be like hanging on there and the hair follicle's already dead. Luckily that's not true, because my hair's grown a lot since then. But anyways, it scared me so bad. I thought I was like bald in reality, but my hair was just like clinging onto my skull. Anyways, so I got on a lower dose. I think I went down to like 250 milligrams, which isn't really much lower, maybe 200 or something like that. And then I was on that dose for a while. I did have the bright idea of getting off all of my medication altogether, because I was like, I'm gonna get pregnant soon because I'm living with my boyfriend. I thought I was like gonna have a kids in the near future, but I don't really know if that's gonna happen, unfortunately, and I'm nearly 30, which is why I'm stressing out about it. Oh, okay. But anyway, so I decided to stay on medication. So I went to see a psychiatrist where I live now, which is Atlanta, and I talked to him about the hair thinning, and I talked to him about wanting to get on a lower dose and all this stuff. And so he put me on the dose I am at now, which is 150 milligrams a day. And for a little while my hair was thicker. It's gone back to being really scraggly again. I do think a lot of it has to do with stress. And I've been stressed out lately. I don't want to go into why. I don't really know why. But yeah, I don't really know why I've been stressed out lately. Probably just, I don't know, there's a lot of reasons for me to be stressed out, but I think that has to do with thinning hair too. So if you're taking a medication that makes your hair thin runs in your family, and you're stressed out, you're not going to have the best looking hair, unfortunately. But I'm trying to like take a multivitamin every day, see if that helps. But anyway, so right now I am taking 150 milligrams of Lamictal. It works perfectly fine. I mean, if I went on a dose any lower than this, then I might have some problems. Maybe, I'm not positive about that, but I don't know. Because like at a certain, I mean, I feel like 100 milligrams isn't really going to do much, or I might have some breakthrough symptoms or something. So 150 is probably where I need to be. You know, that's like the minimum dose I should be on. So yeah, I take 150 milligrams of Lamictal every night at the nighttime, I don't know, at various times at night. And it's working pretty well. And I know not everyone's going to have this experience with Lamictal. Some people are going to have a reaction to it, which I hope you don't. If you get on the medication slowly, hopefully you won't, probably won't. And I know some people, when they take it, it does nothing for them. So I'm sorry about that as well. But yeah, so for me, Lamictal worked perfectly well. It worked just as good as Depakote, because Depakote worked immediately and it got me out of the hospital. You know, it made me very stable. The combination of Depakote and Risperdal totally made me stable. That's why I totally believe in hospitals, psychiatric hospitals. If you have a family member that goes crazy, and I know people hate it when I say that, but basically they went crazy. Like, I'm sorry. Like, if I feel like we should, like, take the power away from that term and just make it, tell it like it is. Like, crazy doesn't have to have a bad connotation. It can just be, like, a word for something. So, yes, if you or someone you know goes crazy, then tell them to go to a psychiatric hospital, or check them into a psychiatric hospital, or call the police or a crisis hotline or something, so that they will go. And I'm not saying like call the police on like anyone like that you think is crazy. I'm saying like if you have someone close to you and it's very, very clear, because when I went crazy, or I hate when I say that, but like that's just like a layman's term for it. When I had psychosis, it was very, very evident that something was wrong. So it should be very, very evident to you. So if you have a family member where it's extremely evident that they have mania or psychosis or something, then, it seems like they're a danger to themselves or someone else, then you should try and get them checked into a hospital so that they will pretty much be forced to be put on medication so that they will stabilize, and they will thank you for it later. So I'm very happy that I was able to go to the hospital, very thankful that my parents were able to pay for it so that I don't have that bill hanging over my head. But when I went to the hospital I was 24, so I was still on my parents' insurance, I believe. Yeah. So anyways, that's my story about Lamictal. This was a lot longer than I thought. This was a lot longer than I intended for it to be, but I just wanted to tell the whole story, I guess, so that you guys know. And if you have any more questions, then leave it in the comments, and I will try and answer it in the comments, or I will answer it in another video. If you want me to make another video talking about my experience with the psychiatric medication, I have not taken very many psychiatric medications in my life, not as many as some people. I've only taken like a handful, but if you just want me to make another video of a medication that I have taken, then let me know, and I'll make another video. But I just wanted to make one about Lamictal because I did have / am having a positive experience with Lamictal. So yeah, I recommend it for anyone who has bipolar disorder to try it out, and I hope you guys have good luck with it if you do try it, or recommend it to someone you know who has bipolar disorder if they're not taking any medication or something like that. It's really safe, I hope, medication, and I haven't had any side effects. I haven't really had any definitive side effects from it. So yeah, and it works really well. Oh yeah, and like one other thing I joked about Lamictal was that like it made me more sane than everyone else around me. So like it's funny because I would see other people like get emotional. I'm not saying like it makes you not have emotions, but like just irrational. Basically I would see other people be irrational or kind of loopy, or I don't know. And I just thought it was kind of funny because I'm supposed to be like the crazy one over here, but really since I was on this psychiatric medication I was like more sane and put together than everyone else who was supposed to be normal, so it's pretty funny. But I'm not saying you should take it if you don't have a psychiatric medication just so you'll be hyper normal or something, or hyper stable. But I'm just saying that it does work very well. It's very effective in my experience. So anyways, I hope you guys have an amazing day, and please subscribe if you haven't, and please join me for my next video. Yeah, okay. By the way, I injured my back recently, and so, I don't know, that's just a life update at the end here. I injured my back recently, and it really sucks. It's like, it's freezing cold outside, and my back is injured, so. I just injured it from like pulling a muscle. I don't even know what's wrong with it, but anyways, it really hurts. It sucks so bad. Please follow me on my social media so you don't miss when I post a video. My Twitter is @SammyBunny23, and I also have a Tumblr, and I also have an Instagram, and I also have a Facebook. All those links are in the description box below this video. Okay, so please leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. Okay, bye! Hello everyone, thank you for joining me for my January Q&A for this month. It's 2016, it's a new year, so yeah, I don't know. I hope everyone had a happy new year,